Kia ora koutou, ko Rowan toku ingoa, no te amutu aho, he Whakaputu ki te oho Māori o Kirikiriroa. I am the Whakaputu Archivist and Special Collections Team Leader here at Hamilton City Libraries. I'm going to be briefly talking to you today about Vernon CMS via remote desktop. A little bit of background: in 2019, which was prior to my time here, the decision was made to adopt Vernon CMS for our archival and special collections, mainly because there hadn't been any form of CMS for the collections prior to this. When this decision predated me, I came on board as the digital delivery librarian in 2020. I came on board in March, which everyone knows what happened in March 2020. By November, we were able to go live with our Vernon CMS, and we've gone from 2,500 records to, I think, over 40,000 since late 2020, which has been a huge effort by the team. So we have our community and council archives, ephemera, photographs, oral history, and maps in our Vernon CMS at the moment. Some of that came from existing spreadsheets, and some of that was entirely fresh data. So we didn't have any lovely stats of how many rows of data to import because we didn't have the rows of data to import at all. We were starting from scratch. So what is it? It's just Vernon, but we log in remotely. So it is hosted by Vernon in Auckland, and we just log in through remote desktop, and it looks like this. So other than that, basically looks exactly the same. The only other difference is that we copy our information across, such as our files and our images. We copy them over into the WinCol folder rather than it being hosted here in our servers. And it's very exciting because we've been starting fresh with our database. So we could start how we wanted to continue with our file structures and with our file naming and everything like that, so that everything fitted nicely into Vernon, which has been a huge opportunity and an exciting opportunity to be part of. It's not very often you get to be part of starting a database from fresh. So why software as a service? Well, yes, sometimes I do feel like we are drowning in data, maybe not to the same extent as Auckland, because I don't even know how much we've got, but we have multiple places to find our information. So from what I understand, because it predates me, the council preferred to go with software as a service, and Vernon or Paul had said, yeah, we can do that, which was really exciting. And so we were the first cab off the rank to have this implemented. And after a few teething problems and speed bumps, it's been fabulous, and we really enjoy being able to use it and also being able to take advantage of working remotely during all of the lockdowns and everything like that as well. So we had a few speed bumps here and there. The setup of CMS and browser was done prior to me coming on board, which was also done prior to some of our internal processes being set up. So that was a bit of a speed bump, a sort of cart before the horse type process. And our data not being ready was another big speed bump. So we had the system, we didn't have the data. So we've been playing catch up with that a little bit. And I guess the other thing that wasn't really a speed bump was upskilling the team. So I came in as digital delivery librarian, having worked with Vernon before, and my colleague Hayley, who's now moved on to Waikato Museum, also came in knowing how to use Vernon, but we were the only two that had any major experience with it. So we spent a lot of time upskilling the team, and now they're all fabulous at it, and I don't have to use it much at all. Some of our learnings, apart from the fabulous opportunity to start a database from scratch, is loop IT in early. I know there were lots of backwards and forwards between our council IT team and Paul and possibly also Penny, but yeah, looping IT in early and making sure everyone's on the same page is probably the biggest learning, especially if you have an external IT team. Having a rollout plan in place, like everyone has already said, you can plan for absolutely everything. The devil will still be in the detail, but having a plan is a major step forward. But also being flexible in your thinking and figuring out new ways of doing things and asking all of the questions. I think I must have driven Paul mad when I first started with all of the questions that I sent to him when we were getting set up. And it felt a little bit like tug of war, but we got there in the end. And if you have any technical questions, please direct them at Paul. I have nothing to do with the technical side of things. So our future plans, a shout out for our browser. We're hoping to refresh that because that went live at the same time in 2019. So it's time we had a refresh. And also, we're just continually looking to improve access to our collection by adding as much information as we can into Vernon so that we can make it available for people. But yeah, that's probably me, unless Paul wants to jump in with some technical information.
Yeah, I'm happy to add a few technical notes there. So for the hosting, we use Microsoft's cloud service, which is called the Azure platform. This particular server is hosted in Australia. So at the time that Hamilton came on board, there wasn't a Microsoft data center in New Zealand. So that was the closest one that was available for us. We've got a large size disk there, more than what we'd typically have on a Vernon server, because we're hosting all of the original images. So we're responsible for storing those and managing the day-to-day backup. It does mean that there's a larger ongoing cost passed on from us to Hamilton, but it means it's one more piece of that puzzle that's passed off to another vendor to take care of. As was noted, the access is always through remote desktop, so that's opened up access into the system, both from different locations, but also potentially from different device types. So I don't think it's been used in this case yet, but remote desktop can be used from Macintoshes and iPads, and I know that Motat, one of our Auckland sites, are using iPads to connect into Vernon through remote desktop. So that's something that you gain by having Vernon remotely and always using remote access to get to that. Lastly, we also host Vernon Browser on behalf of them, and so having us responsible for both halves of those has made the support side of it easier. So whenever there's any kind of technical issue, it's really easy for us to jump into any part of that system end to end and troubleshoot a problem and resolve that. So there's certainly a bonus for us in hosting that. It makes the support easier, being able to actually connect in and see the live data at any point where the team at that end needs the help from us.
So Rowan, I was just wondering, are there any other software packages or tools that you think might be useful to add to the remote desktop?
I was thinking about this, and I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but because also we are moving away from Adobe here at Council, so still being able to look at the documents and everything like that is really handy. I know it automatically defaults to opening in Edge on the remote desktop, so being able to look at PDFs and things like that is really handy. But that's probably the main things we use it for, and then if we need be, we just export things back out into our network to work on them and dump them back in later.
Mm-hmm. And since COVID, I mean, we all sort of got used to doing remote working and that. So have you've been using it pretty consistently since you had it, and has it made remote working more feasible for you and the team?
Absolutely. I mean, we were able to get a lot of data entry done sitting at home because that was all we had to do. But yeah, absolutely. And if we're working on getting some better connections in our storeroom, so it will mean that we can actually take Vernon to the collection rather than having to bring the collection to Vernon, which will be a huge improvement for us as well.
And do you have any advice on working with IT teams? Because collection staff are often the linchpin between us and your IT teams. You're not, necessarily going to know all the technical information, but you do play a key role in coordinating. Do you have any advice for anybody on that?
I think the biggest thing is communication. I was very fortunate that our digital team leader was all over it as well, and he was our main connection between the council IT team and the libraries. I was purely just there to provide the Vernon expertise, not the technical side of things, but explaining why we needed what we needed and things like that. So yeah, just the clear communication and being able to explain why we needed what we needed was probably the main thing. But I was very fortunate that we had our digital team leader to help us as well.